going, my friends? This is Nick from the Nerd Frenzy Podcast. And today we're talking about Adam Sandler. And we have the pleasure of talking to Jack Beauregard.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks, buddy, for coming on. Appreciate it, bud. So we get to talk about Adam Sandler today.
Mm-hmm.
So you just started recently, about a year ago, maybe a little longer?
Yeah, maybe like a year and a half.
Year and a half ago, you started watching his movies, and then you fell in love with them, and you've been saying for a while, we need to do him.
Mm-hmm.
So here we are.
Yeah.
So if you had to say, what movie was the first movie you saw that was like, oh, I like this guy?
Mr. Deeds was the first one, and then after that, Mom introduced me to all the Adam Sandler movies.
Mm. And that's a cool thing about all these streaming services is there's so many that you can choose from that have so many Adam Sandlers. You just search through them, you could probably get, 75% of the movies that he is in through all the things that we have. But what would you say would be your favorite Adam Sandler movie?
Probably any of the grown-up movies or Jack and Jill.
Jack and Jill. Which is funny because a lot of people who saw Jack and Jill thought it was one of his worst movies.
I liked it.
Yeah, but I guess when you're young, it's one of those movies that is probably really just so goofy that it just makes you giggle. Mm-hmm. I saw it, funny enough about that, one good thing about that was I was on deployment in the military and I was in Dubai. It's a Middle Eastern country, like the richest Middle Eastern country, actually the richest country in the whole world. But it's a big old desert that they built a big old city on, and for some reason everyone that I watched movies with in the theaters wanted to watch that one, Jack and Jill. So we went to go watch that, and I didn't necessarily care for the movie, but I thought it was a cool experience being in the Middle East watching an Adam Sandler movie.
How did everyone react to it?
I think everyone liked it, but they were kind of like, yeah, it was okay. Because there's something about an Adam Sandler movie that people kind of expect it not to be necessarily the best quality of a movie, but it's going to make them giggle, even though it's silly and kind of stupid and corny.
Yeah.
That's probably the beautiful thing about him. And for some reason, even though a lot of his movies are considered to be just really goofy, people keep on watching them.
Yeah, that's a fun thing about him.
Mm-hmm.
They're all goofy.
Yeah, they're all goofy, and he's goofy about it. And one thing I've always loved about Adam Sandler, probably my favorite thing, more than him being funny and talented and all that kind of stuff, is the fact that he has all of his friends that he keeps on bringing back to all of his movies, and then they go to pretty much vacation spots, beaches and whatnot, and film, and then they probably also bring their families, and then they all just have a big old long 2-month vacation, and then they get paid a lot of money to do it.
I know, that must be very fun for them.
And I've heard from a lot of people that Adam Sandler, the guy himself, is very, very, very chill person, very normal person. So that's always nice to hear too. And a lot of the best actors in the world have worked with him. So it shows, even though his movies are kind of silly, everyone wants to be in them.
Yeah, I've only seen one scary one, but I haven't seen one that's serious.
You mean the serious? I mean the scary one being the Hubie Halloween.
Yeah, I got a bit.
You got a little freaked out. And that's one of the new movies. I don't know if you guys have seen that one yet. It came out 2 years ago, I think.
Like in October.
Was it? It wasn't last October. I think it was the one before that.
Yeah.
Correct. So it was about a year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
2 years ago, and I remember I watched it and I didn't watch it all, but you liked it a lot. And I remember when I saw it was typical Adam Sandler goofiness, and then maybe even a little bit more. And I remember just thinking, oh, jeez. But Adam Sandler, there's a special thing about him, and there's a lot of movies that I am a big fan of that still hold up to this day, and we'll definitely be talking about a lot of those today. And Adam Sandler, funny enough, he started off in SNL. Did you ever watch Saturday Night Live with him in it?
I don't think so, I did.
He started off doing a lot of sketches where he'd have the guitar and he would sing a song, a song that he made up, and it was very popular. And then he made albums that had those on it too, and then he started doing the movies and whatnot, and then he kind of just built up, and his movies automatically, like the first really big one he did, like solo one, was probably Billy Madison, which you don't know as much about Billy Madison, but anyone who is watching Adam Sandler right now, they would tell you Billy Madison was kind of a staple in his kind of what got him started. But what really got me going with him personally was Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, Happy Gilmore was one of my favorites, but Billy Madison, I never really understand. I just don't get why he sees a penguin all the time.
Yeah, and that's just kind of, like I said, that's a typical Adam Sandler charm in a lot of his movies, where it's just a lot of times it doesn't necessarily make sense, but it doesn't matter because it just makes you laugh anyways. And most of Adam Sandler movies and all of his buddies who are in his movies too, all of them, they all have the same kind of shtick going, which is kind of goofy laughter. And they all, especially when they're all with each other in movies, you get excited because when you watch a lot of these other people that are in the movies with them, a lot of them were also on Saturday Night Live or doing their own thing, and then eventually they kind of just connected with the Adam Sandler team. And it's fascinating to see because there are certain, what you would call like tribes or whatnot, or certain people like to stick together in the movie world. But when you see some Adam Sandler situation, it's completely different. It's almost like he just invites everyone to hang out and have a good time, and then also pay them a lot of money and then act goofy.
Yeah, sounds like most of it. And they get a good time while they put their movie together.
Yeah, no, and like I said, his movies, even though, as we can see right now, a lot of them have low rating scores, it doesn't matter because we've seen a lot of these movies, and even though they might not be rated well by critics and whatnot, I know a lot of people who love Adam Sandler movies, and a lot of them make them giggle. And that is the whole goal. Any movie, regardless if it's a very good quality funny movie or a silly, stupid, funny movie, if it's making you laugh, then it's doing its job, and that's all it needs to do. And Adam Sandler, typically, even though they have the kind of the fart joke kind of routine, typical like and it still works because it's making people laugh.
Yeah, that's what everyone likes. At least I like it, making myself laugh.
Yep, absolutely, and it's something that he's been doing since the early '90s, I believe, maybe late '80s, and it's just still going strong. And the cool thing is, he's one of those people too. He's also a producer of a lot of the movies too that he's not even in. A lot of the movies that the other silly guys that we see in his movies, you'll see he'll say executive producer on the beginning of the movie, and he'll say Adam Sandler, and then they'll have the Adam Sandler logo slapped on there, and it's his movie studio that he created that all of his friends use. So he's developed an empire of people and an actual empire of like a money making business and studio to do his whole thing. So regardless of how you feel about Adam Sandler the actor, he has done extremely well for himself.
Yeah, he's one of my favorites. I probably like Jim Carrey more, but Adam Sandler's one of the mans.
Yeah, and that's one of those things. We were having discussions about it, and eventually we're going to do Jim Carrey because Jim Carrey was a little bit after Adam Sandler, and I think Jack's realizing that Jim Carrey has more of a stretch. He can do more in terms of quality acting. We've seen a lot of movies that Jim Carrey's been in that he just transforms. Typically, Adam Sandler is kind of known to be kind of somewhat of a one-trick pony in his movies. He goes for the same kind of jokes and whatnot. But like I said, it works because people are still watching him. They're still making him laugh. Yes, there's better, funnier people out there. Robin Williams, I always bring up Robin Williams and everything I possibly can because Robin Williams really was the genuine article where he could do anything. Jim Carrey has pretty much shown that too. Adam Sandler, still, when you see him in a movie, you get super excited because you're like, oh, I love Adam Sandler.
One thing I don't get about Adam Sandler is some of his movies, his voice is different. Yeah,
he is able to kind of bring it up a little bit, and there are certain movies that he like the Little Nicky when he's like, "Hey," and, and he's like, "What's going on?" And it's hilarious, and you're thinking, okay, this is kind of the Adam Sandler from like the Saturday Night Live days, and when he's kind of making funny. And if you watch a lot of Adam Sandler movies, he does have some kind of like I said, silly little thing he's doing whenever he's talking and whatnot. But then a lot of times you'll see a movie, which you haven't seen a couple of them that are his best quality movies in terms of like acting wise.
Yeah.
Uncut Gems just came out, I believe, last year, and it's not for you, but it's excellent acting from him. And Punch Drunk Love, kind of the same thing, not really for you, but an excellent acting. And then this really excellent movie that he was in called Reign Over Me, and his whole family is in a plane to go come and see him, and it's a plane crash. It's during the 9/11, and they all die, and the rest of the movie shows him dealing with it, and he hides himself in his music on headphones throughout the whole movie, and then a buddy comes and starts trying to like open him back up again, and you just kind of see this certain sadness, and you see a different kind of acting from Adam Sandler, and it was really nice to see, and it just kind of reminds you when someone gives Adam Sandler the opportunity to do something different, he surprised you, and he usually has a really good performance.
One thing I love about Adam Sandler is that he also can act like a girl.
Oh, the Jack and Jill. His whole, when he does that, the delivery, when he's just like, oh my God, it's just so annoying. And I mean, obviously in the movie, they're kind of making fun of it too, like saying, oh, her voice. But then whenever the guy who like falls in love with her, Al Pacino, which is one of the best actors of all time, he hears her talking, and it's just like music to his ears. It's like, oh, you have a beautiful voice, and it's oh, thank you, and it's just really like, oh, and it's like piercing your ears. But I say one thing I did like about that movie was the very beginning and the very end when it's showing the real twins. And they're all talking, and they're all just showing themselves. I thought that was a really cool, genuine way to kind of open up the movie and then close it.
Yeah, one of the funniest part for me was when the little boy punched Jill in the face.
Oh, and Jill's goes so crazy, so you just see, and you see like no matter like she just loses it, and most people like her, except sadly her brother gets really annoyed by her, but everyone else seems to be charmed by her. And there's something charming about it, but like I said, all I felt was just like Adam Sandler just being female Adam Sandler. It was just kind of like obnoxious to me, but I appreciate that you liked it. But there's so many other movies, and I don't think you've ever seen Anger Management, but there's one. It's one where you see he has to go through anger management classes with the legendary actor Jack Nicholson, which Jack Nicholson's one of the best we have, and you just see these guys have a back and forth, and it's a lot of fun, and you see them going through this little adventure together where they're trying to get him under his anger under wraps so then he can go back and continue on with his life and whatnot. And it's just you see the interaction between the two characters, and Jack Nicholson fell in love with Adam Sandler, the real actor, in terms of like just liking the guy so much. They actually still to this day go golfing, and it just kind of shows the charm of Adam Sandler, regardless. And it's one of those things. The older I get, the more I like it too. A lot of people, for the most part, like celebrities wise, they have a really bad. Celebrities have more of like a vain and kind of just like rich and pompous and cocky, that kind of way, but I've heard a lot about Adam Sandler that he's just, like I said, just a down-to-earth person that seems to just turn all these movies into fun little vacations for him and his friends, and then just make money for everyone and have us go watch it and then see those silly, stupid things that he puts in his movies that still makes us giggle. And he's been doing it like I said, Billy Madison, there's a part where the kid, one of his good friends, when he goes back to kindergarten first, and his friend pees his pants, and then to try to make it okay for the kid, he puts some water in his pants, and then so the kid's all walking up, and someone's like, "Oh, you peed your pants," and then he walks up, and he's this 25-year-old man, and they're all like 8 or whatever the age is, 6 or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, you peed your pants too, Billy, I guess," and he goes, "Yeah, peeing your pants is cool," and then it was just cute. But then it's like I said, it's the Adam Sandler charm that's kind of dumb, but it doesn't matter because it's sweet and it's charming. Most of his movies have a very innocent silliness, like a "oh you rascal" kind of thing. So it works for most people.
Yeah, I didn't know Adam Sandler liked golf. I thought he was more of a hockey man.
Funny enough, it's just one of those things. The real Adam Sandler, like I said, he's very a lot of his movies he kind of plays this very like kind of guy, but it seems like in real life he's just kind of just a chill, normal dude.
Yeah.
But there's also been movies that like your mom and I love that are actually like still to this day considered to be well respected, and one of them that maybe my favorite Adam Sandler movie is The Wedding Singer. And I think you've seen Wedding Singer, haven't you? Whenever he actually goes and he sings at people's weddings. It's set in the 80s, and he falls in love with this girl. Anyways, it's something that's really cute to this day, and you see the other actor, Drew Barrymore, she and him meet around that time, and then still to this day they're friends, and then she's still in all of his movies. Like she was in the movie 50 First Dates with him. So and she just and then another one called Branded. So they keep on like every 10 years are in a movie with each other, and then like all of his other friends, like all these big actors like Steve Buscemi, the guy that I put on the cover, the Bug Eyes. If you looked up his filmography, he is one of the most universally loved actors because he's done it all. And he's been a bad guy many times and a scary guy. He's been silly and stupid. He's been intimidating. He's been corny. He's done it all. So the fact that he is in almost all of Adam Sandler movies just shows how Adam Sandler has this amazing pull to people, and people love him.
Yeah, well, I love that Happy Gilmore when you said he likes to golf. Well, it's most about golf, but when you said that, I was like, I thought he was more of a hockey man.
You would think so because a lot of his characters have that like hardcore approach, like the movie itself. When you see him playing golf, he's very aggressive, and he kind of has like he'll get back and he'll just like run up to it and swing, which that's not necessarily how it's done. Mm-hmm. And I don't think even probably Tiger Woods would say that. It doesn't necessarily make sense, but I'm not sure how that would work. But it was a fun movie, and I'm sure it probably was a lot of the reason why. Because I'm sure he had to play the game in order for him to film a little bit. So he probably like, oh, this is a fun game. And then really famous actors like Jack Nicholson, mm-hmm. they just like, oh, cool, I guess we'll just play with each other now. So, yeah. But there's so many movies. Big Daddy, I know that you like that one mm-hmm. a lot. That was like I think one of the first ones when you were just like, oh yeah, I really like this guy.
Yeah, it was a cute one.
Yeah. Well, and the kid is pretty much was like the same age that you were when you watched it. So what'd you think about that?
I thought that was pretty cool. One weird scene is when Adam Sandler comes out like a submarine guy, one of his favorite the kid's favorite action hero. And
Scuba Steve.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That was
funny.
Yeah, there's a lot of parts that, like I said, it's good that Adam Sandler was in Saturday Night Live and sketch shows like that because Saturday Night Live is something that's built on. They do these things called sketches where they have, like maybe Adam Sandler himself is in like 8 or 9 sketches, and he has to run backstage, and then someone has to change his costume and whatnot to get ready for the next one, and then he comes out and plays a completely different role. And he did that for many years until he finally started doing the movies and whatnot. So he's kind of trained to the best degree he could be trained. It's like he's in plays all this time. And then it's like he sings and stuff too, so it just does that kind of stuff too. Thank you, kids.
Yay! One part when the grown-ups, or not the title, but the picture for the title, when they're going down the water park, I don't get the water park that part. It's not really in the thing most of the part. It's mostly about at their house or where that place is.
I think they're trying to show that, first of all, they probably got to do that in real life. Yeah. You know, like his buddy Kevin James, the big guy. Mm-hmm. You can see they were all having a good time in real life. So I guarantee they're just like, hey, let's go have a good time and then we'll film it. Kind of like how the D Billions that you and I watched when they're all. I mean, they probably had a good time doing that too. But it's one of those things. Like I said, it goes with the whole thing. You see them doing a lot of fun things, and obviously they're doing that. So, and I guarantee you, all their families are there doing it with them. And a lot of times, Adam Sandler movies have all of his family and all of his friends' family just hanging out and playing characters. That's just how his whole life is revolved around his family and friends, and that's, I think, the genius behind it. And that's probably the real reason why I wanted to do this podcast with you, because, like I said earlier, there are more talented people like Jim Carrey and Robin Williams and Michael Keaton and all these actors, that can do all that and then some.
Yeah.
But Adam Sandler, I tend to find himself to be extremely interesting, and there's a certain charisma about him that people must love.
In Grown Ups 2, something I don't understand. At the end, they fight with like teenagers. Isn't that illegal?
Yeah, that's like I said. You watch most Adam Sandler movies. There's a chance that he or someone in the movie are doing things that there's no way that would happen in real life. There's the one that the Zohan one that you see on the cover. He's from a Middle Eastern country, and he was in the army, special forces kind of thing. So you see in the movie, he's just doing like backflips and stuff, jumping off of roofs and stuff, like front flips and whatnot. And then he cuts people's hairs, and he does it all while dancing and whatnot. And it's just really ridiculously goofy, and you just kind of just like smile and just keep on watching. But that, like I said, that's kind of the idea about most of his movies. Most of his movies, people would never say, "Oh yeah, his movies are the best quality movie I've ever seen in my life." They would typically say, "Oh, Adam Sandler, he's funny. He makes me giggle."
Yeah. What's the latest Adam Sandler movie you've ever seen?
The latest?
Yeah.
The last one that I saw come out with him probably would have been Uncut Gems.
Wow.
And that one was, I believed he was nominated for a lot of awards for it. But the reason why you can't watch it is because it's just really hardcore. But it's about a gambler who has a good life, but he's a gambler, and he starts getting himself in a lot of trouble, and you start seeing the consequences of his gambling. And you see Adam Sandler at his finest, and you see him freaking out a lot. You see him crying. You see him losing his mind, and it's just really like, wow. I was like, I did not know you could do that. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of like just a reminder that there is definitely some talent behind Adam Sandler in terms of trying something new. It's just a lot of times, I think a lot of people don't want to take that risk on maybe someone like him because they just know him as being like the slapstick, silly, goofy guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my latest one was actually last night watching bedtime stories.
Bedtime stories. Oh, okay, yeah. I guess we just watched that, and we wanted to get in the mood. And I do a thing whenever I talk about an actor or a director specifically. Like I've done Quentin Tarantino, I've done Clint Eastwood, and stuff like that. And Leonardo DiCaprio. What I do when I do something like that is I typically will watch like one or two movies from them, and then I'll just do a lot of I'll type in like YouTube. I'll type in performances by this person, and then I just soak it all in, just like hear awesomeness, and then kind of get what I want to talk about. And the same thing with Adam Sandler is just one of those things where Adam Sandler has a lot of typical kind of comedy, and then sometimes he has some like hidden gems, and pun intended, but hidden gem, uncut gem.
Yeah, one of the worst movies that I really didn't care for was Waterboy. I never really...
Waterboy?
I never really got it.
And that's my time. That was whenever I was your age. That movie came out. I was probably 12 or 13. You're 10. But I remember thinking to myself, this is a fine example of Adam Sandler being extremely goofy, and this movie kind of being on the borderline of being just plain stupid. But to me, it was just like on the barely on the step up where it's considered to be, oh, this movie is stupid, but it's making me laugh like a little schoolgirl. And the fact of the matter, that's another fine example. His mom in that movie, actor Kathy Bates, she is one of the best actors of all time. So that was like one of the first times I remember thinking, how did you guys get this actor to be in this movie? And they even talked to Kathy Bates. They said, hey, we want you to be in this movie called Waterboy, and they explained it, and they said it's with Adam Sandler, and Kathy Bates said, no, I do not want to be in it because he's not the kind of actor I want to work with. And so they talked her into it, and she did the movie, and it is a goofy, kind of stupid movie, but she, like everyone else, said, I had a wonderful time making it. Adam Sandler's a very pleasant person to be around, and I'm very glad I did it. And then it helped, and funny enough, because she's known to be a very dramatic actor and very like intense, and then it kind of like said, oh hey, guess what, Kathy Bates can be silly too, and then it kind of opened up her resume to allow for people to put her in their movies that they would have never thought of that before. So Adam Sandler has done that kind of stuff too. He's even opened up other people's kind of horizons.
I didn't like the mama one. I thought it was dumb. Like
Which one?
Waterboy, that he couldn't go play football.
Oh, and that's like I said, that was her character. Mm-hmm. And by the end of the movie, the character realized that she was wrong. And having someone like Adam Sandler, it's just obvious that it's like, oh, Mama, I'm gonna play me some foosball, and it's just it's goofy and it makes you laugh. And if I watch it now, it might not be even funny to me anymore. But when I watched it when I was your age, I remember thinking, yeah, this makes me laugh. But a few other movies that we had to talk about that definitely is worth talking about. Mr. Deeds, we haven't talked about Mr. Deeds much. Mr. Deeds is one of those movies I still watch that often and get very, I don't know, just very giddy about it. I can remember watching that movie in theaters. I was at a wrestling camp with David Szymanski, and we went to go watch Mr. Deeds, and I had no idea how much fun I was going to have watching it. The soundtrack was fun. One of my favorite songs that come from there, "Let My Love Open the Door" by Pete Townsend. That song, it was on there, and it kind of just gives me this little fun little retro feel that I get. And then Adam Sandler with a couple other people on the plane singing a David Bowie song, "Ground Control to Major Tom," and then you hear the one guy with the pipe just like, "For him a tin in a tin can," and just the whole thing just kind of comes from nowhere. And I remember still to this day, you're watching it, and all of a sudden you start singing out of nowhere. You're like, what? It just kind of like almost like a musical all of a sudden, and then the bad guy in the movie just goes, "Sit down," and then the music just stops, and then that's the end of it. And they don't ever talk about it again. I just remember thinking, what an odd thing to do, but it made me laugh so hard, and still to this day, I love that movie. Mr. Deeds, even though it's not his best movie, it's one of my favorite movies from him.
My favorite character probably in that was the guy that was like, "Can I change your socks?"
Oh yeah, he's like, "I'm very sneaky, sir. And you're underestimating the sneakiness." And the whole thing was fun. You see one thing about Adam Sandler movies too, and this one I liked a lot because he himself is a very good man. He's very sweet. He's very giving. He's very loving. The whole town is like this big old community of just loving each other, and it's very sweet. And a lot of his movies have this very silliness, but like, can't we all just get along kind of approach. And really, when you think about it, there's nothing wrong with that kind of mindset. And even though his movies are very simple, his movies are also a lot of times very heartfelt and very beautiful. Mm-hmm. And like Mr. Deeds is one of those fine examples. The main character the whole time, he doesn't care about the money. In fact, he gives, whenever he goes and hangs out, he's kind of just like there trying to figure out everything to do with his grandpa. Mm-hmm. He doesn't care about the money at all. And then whenever you find out that the funny Spanish guy, he's the rightful owner, he takes the money, and then I believe doesn't he give Adam Sandler, he's either $1 million or $1 billion. I forget how much he gives him, or $2 million or something like that. And then what does Adam Sandler do? He buys every single person in his own town like a Ferrari or something, whatever it was, Lamborghini or whatever. And it kind of shows that he doesn't care about that. And the idea is kind of what it makes, like Adam Sandler has a very holy kind of way. He likes to have family elements and good versus evil sometimes elements, even though in Grown Ups, when he's beating the crap out of the kids and whatnot, when you're watching it, of course you're thinking, well, he's not actually beating them up. And then you also know, like, the kids are being jerks. Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of glad this is happening. And it's funny because the kids are not actually getting hurt, and like the main bad guy, the kid, was actually one of the main werewolves in the Twilight movies. And so he was really popular for. A lot of people like him, but whatever, they are what they are. But so it was kind of funny to see him in it because he was kind of making fun of himself and whatnot. And he was also, of course, Shark Boy in the Shark Boy and Lava Girl. So it was kind of funny to see him also, because you're kind of growing up with these people, and you're like, well, that's kind of funny, isn't it? It's just you're seeing these other movies, and then Adam Sandler once again pulls you into one of their movies, and then next thing you know, if you watch like 3 or 4 Adam Sandler movies after Grown Ups, you'll see that same actor just even pop up for a moment, just kind of like do something silly, and then you never see him again the rest of the movie. But it shows how cool Adam Sandler is to where people are like, hey man, I'm gonna be in town. Can I just show up in your movie for a moment, just say hi? Yeah. And then we'll go get a drink afterwards or something like that.
Mm-hmm. One of the best part about Grown Up 2 is the table when this is the flip table where it would flip it over, and then you would have like drinks on one side, and then. But my question is, how did the drinks not spill when they were upside down?
Yeah, good. I mean, that's a lot of people just look past these things when you watch an Adam Sandler movie, because a lot of times there's going to be a lot of things that you see that you're like, that doesn't make sense. Yeah. But like I said, that's the goal. And there's a lot of like the message behind a lot of Adam Sandler movies. One I love to talk about a lot because it really changed a lot of people's minds. I remember on the internet after the movie came out, a lot of people, Chuck and Larry. I now pronounce you man. I now pronounce him man and man. Whatever. Yeah. Chuck and Larry. So they're best friends. One says, "I need to act gay in order to be able to afford some kind of insurance or whatnot for my family." And so they go through this whole thing, and then you kind of see a lot of people treat gay people bad, and then you see kind of this whole thing happen to where Adam Sandler and Kevin James' character, they kind of start understanding something that they've never really understood before about some people that are different, and it's just a beautiful concept as well. So like another idea that Adam Sandler put out there saying, hey, that they might be different, but there's nothing wrong with being different. And I thought that movie was really cute how they did that. But there is something that Adam Sandler does that's really obviously funny, and that is he always has like the best looking women in his movies as like his wife or his girlfriend or a woman that's like, oh my God, I want to love you forever. Mm-hmm. And I'm just thinking like, okay, Adam, you're making these movies, good for you, but you really just have to always make yourself look like the most awesome person in the world, don't you?
He's the hottest one.
Yeah, when you look at him in real life, you're like, you just look a normal looking dude. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's nothing special about you. But I love how in the movies he's always like plays like a very interesting part where he's like always like this very like wealthy, rich, powerful person. Mm-hmm. And then, but there's something like Click. I don't think you finished.
I started it.
Yeah, you started it. We need to finish it still. But Click is this really good thing where it has a little bit of drama and a little bit of comedy mixed in back and forth. And other movies do that too with it, like funny people. But Click is good because you see the same idea. Like you see that there's a guy who's too worried about making the money and being and like, you know, oh, my boss just told me to come in and I'm going to, and the moms and the kids are saying, but mommy, but daddy, you're gonna play with us. Oh, I can't now, sorry. And then you see him find a universal remote that allows him to fast forward through his life and pause and all that kind of stuff, and he screws it up and makes his family hate him, and it shows him become an old man and no one likes him, and it's kind of almost like a different telling of Christmas Carol or, you know, Scrooge or something like that, and you get to see that he kind of learns the error of his ways throughout this whole thing and the consequence of it. And luckily at the end of it, he kind of was like a dream or whatnot, but he kind of teaches him to snap out of his stupid funk and then start being with his family, and it was a beautiful thing. So yeah, Adam Sandler has this wonderful. I want my kids to watch this. I want my kids to be in this. I want your kids to be able to watch this and enjoy it and to laugh. And there's something special about Adam Sandler, and I'm all in.
Yeah, Adam Sandler's one of the best actors, but he's not always the best.
Yeah, he's someone that I'm not going to ever compare him to even people in his movies. Like I said, he always has very good actors in his movies. Someone like Steve Buscemi or whatnot, where they're like, oh wow, the fact that you're in this movie knowing that this movie's going to be silly and goofy, and you're resume is something like such a high caliber of movies. It's like, wow, good for you. But like I said, he has something to offer them too. So Adam Sandler has a special thing that is very rare. I don't find him one of the most talented actors in terms of like acting, but I find him to be a very interesting person, and apparently a lot of people do too. And I'm glad we got to talk about it today.
Mm-hmm. Like you say, he's a one-trick pony. Maybe soon you could become a two-trick pony.
Oh, buddy, I like it. One thing I wanted to talk about with Adam Sandler too, which was really beautiful, is he is a singer. He writes his own music and stuff, and they're usually kind of like fun little songs. But he wrote a cute little song about Chris Farley, which Chris Farley was an actor, the big guy that we've seen in like Beverly Hills Ninja.
Oh, yeah.
And hilarious. He was talented, but he passed away sadly very young. And Adam Sandler had a very beautiful song that he sang about him, and it just kind of reminds me too that Adam Sandler's all about family and friends. So I just had to throw that in there. But yeah, Adam Sandler is awesome. So
yeah, one of the best, but not always the best.
yeah. So is there anything else you want to say, bud?
No, not really.
Perfect. All right. Well, Jack, thanks for coming in and talking about Adam Sandler, my friend, and we'll talk about the next topic very soon, of course. And I can't wait to do that. And thank you so much, buddy. And I love you.
Thanks for letting me do those. I love you too.
Absolutely, my friend. All right, guys. Well, take care, and we'll see you next time.